Welcome to the Lifelinks podcast, a safe place of belonging where we amp up our mic to openly talk with first-gen Latinas, help break free from cultural barriers, navigate the first-gen vida acá with love of culture and determination to thrive. I'm your host, Consuelo Crosby, and also creator of this content. If you would like to chat more about what you've heard here today, then reach out to me through our website at thelinks.com, that's LNXX, or through our Instagram profile at Lifelinks. I'd love to listen and engage in whatever you have to say. Hola, chicas. Welcome to another episode of the Lifelinks podcast on this first Wednesday of February. We made it through the dry January, or flooding torrential rains January that we had in California. And we're here in February, month of love. And yes, you are hearing a little bit of a change. It's not coming through my soundboard, and it's not because of the microphone. This is literally my voice for today. I was so blessed to have interview after interview with these amazing, fabulous Latinas. And I didn't want to stop the conversation. I didn't want to stop the interview on our scheduled time. And we just kept talking for a couple weeks now. And well, this is what I have left. This is my voice. So bear with me. My apologies. I will try and make this sound as great as possible. But I did not want to miss this Pod Club episode. Now, for those of you who are new to listening or haven't caught a Pod Club episode yet, this is the time we take to reflect back on what we heard from our guests the previous weeks. So we have our interviews and then we have a Pod Club episode. Because during the interviews, there's so much being learned and I really get entrenched in these really amazing stories that the women are sharing of their ancestry and their heritage, what it was like for them growing up, and how that evolved into what they're doing in their lives today, their life experiences and their careers and their businesses. And since our interviews are organic, they're not scripted question and answer, we found that what always comes up, our conversations, are these epiphanies, these, oh, wait a minute, wow, what moments where even our guests will say, wow, I've never thought about that before. And yes, we might go through that a little bit in the interview, but we also want to stay on point to what they're sharing with us. So the Pod Club episodes give us time to go back to those epiphanies, those gems that came out of the interview, and really see how that applies to all of us. And that's what we're going to do here today. After listening to Ashley Rivera Mercado last week on episode 74, sharing her experience in digital marketing and using social media to build community and your brand. And that's what we're talking about today. Being the Latina, living the first-gen vida, trying to build social media on authenticity when, authenticity is the taboo. Now, before we dive deeper into this Pod Club episode, I just have to take a minute and tell you how my universe is screaming at me, yes, build this authentic community. Build this community based on your authentic self. Because within 1 week, I had 2 of my guests I got to meet in person. Because they flew all the way from East Coast to West Coast, met up with me in San Francisco. I had Violeta Canales from season 3, the advocate for our community. We were doing brunch in San Francisco. And just yesterday, met up with Ashley Rivera Mercado from last week's episode. And it was so great meeting her in person. She instantaneously wanted to start interviewing me because she hadn't known enough about me. And I have to say, Ashley, thank you. That felt so good. And again, we could talk for hours, but the voice was a little struggly. So wishing you well, Ashley. Thank you for reaching out and setting up the meetup in San Francisco. I had a blast. Ashley is earning her MBA at the University of Central Florida and working full-time there, and also founded her own digital marketing business to help Latina businesses to build your social media brand and market it out there, to build your business and to build your brand and grow financially. Now that alone, you might think, oh, no problem. I could go find that. I can go Google that. I can figure that out on my own. And absolutely, agreed. This can be a very common in everyday life experience. But that key point, that epiphany that came up last week, and if you haven't listened to last week's, you still have time to catch up, is when Ashley was emphasizing that expanding your social media presence really takes authenticity. Ooh, and authenticity? Well, that's a little tricky. And as you've heard a lot of our guests say, this first gen vida, it is tricky. It is tricky because you're actually living two worlds. You're living the world of your heritage, of your ancestry. You're living it inside your home with the food and the music and the language and the rules and that cultural narrative, that overlay of this is how things are done. But you step out of the house and you're in another world. You're in a society that is built on a system not known to you. You have to figure that out. You're figuring out how you fit into that. But ultimately, between the two worlds, oftentimes you don't feel good enough for either. And in that experience, the identity gets muddled. It's difficult to understand who we are or who we're meant to be. And that happens for a lot of people, guaranteed. But in the Latina upbringing, you're not really sure who you're supposed to be. Because when you're growing up in a Latina household, so many times you come up against that, ¿qué va a decir la gente? No? What will people think? So you come up with a great idea or a great look, and it feels good because this is who you are. And then you walk out of your bedroom and you go out in the house and, what are you doing? What will people say? You can't go out in public like that. And boom, that's when it begins. That's when you begin second guessing yourself. And so you go out of the house with an identity that's already not true into a society that's not part of you. And you take this already held back identity and it goes back even further, right? You just want to maybe just blend in, stay under the radar. Don't be questioned, don't be bothered. So being your authentic self, it takes moving out away from what we know and being free to be completely who we are. And letting our soul come forward, feeling what makes us happy. Realizing that, this is where I find my joy. This is who I am. This is my ocean. This is what feeds me. But that could take a quarter of our life or 30 years of our life before we get an opportunity to do that because we have to get out of the cultural narrative, get out of the cultural norms that are holding us back and making us question ourselves, and feel comfortable still walking in our love of culture and our cultural identity in a society that we stick out because we don't want to blend in. It doesn't make sense for us. And it's with that true authenticity, that authentic self, that Ashley is telling us, okay, now use her. She's your brand. She's your social media presence. And with her, you can build that community that will embrace you, that will give you a place of belonging, and will support and love you for your authentic self. And this is a complete 180 from what growing up in the Latina first gen vida really felt like. Because that was isolating and it was lonely. And you could rarely find a place of belonging. You could rarely find a place where people understood you. And like I said, you didn't have much opportunity to be living your authentic self because you weren't allowed to figure out who she is. So Ashley really hit on two, wow, never thought of it this way, epiphanies when we were talking about digital marketing. And so social media relies on you being your authentic self, relies on you to define who you are in your cultural identity, free from the narrative, free from needing to blend in or assimilate. And with her, building the community that you rarely had in your early years. It was such a win-win, and we didn't see it coming. And we all know how hard it is, right? Social media can be so tricky. Yes, you're up against the AI algorithm. Yes, you're up against getting the presence out there, putting yourself out there every day. But when you're putting yourself out there and you don't even know it's your truth, your authentic self, you start second guessing everything you're doing again. It's like even posts for these episodes. There's one way I want to write it, and then I'll go, no, I can't say that. Oh, I shouldn't say that. I start getting that cultural narrative coming back over my head. What will people say? And then the other side of my brain kicks in, the engineering, analytical side, and it's like, dun, 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 dun. And it's so boring. I think this is not my community. This is not going to attract the awesome Latina community that I'm looking for. This is going to attract more of those engineers that I tried so desperately to survive in. I can't do that to myself again. So a little incentive in getting to your authentic self is using that same courage, that same resilience, that same, you know what I'm talking about, to say to yourself, what would I do? What would I do out in the world if I didn't worry about what the cultural narrative was telling me, and I didn't worry about fitting into a society that wasn't built for me? What do I do in the world? Who would I be? How do I act? Free from having any doubts, any thoughts of, I shouldn't do that, I can't do that. Who are you? Because that person, that little girl you were born to be, she is the one who is your authentic self. Before she ever got the no, or that eye look, or that ridicule, she is the one that's here for a purpose. The universe needs her to be living who she was born to be. That's why I open every episode with Hola Chica. I'm speaking to her, your little girl inside who knows exactly who she is, who knows what she loves, who knows what she wants to do, who knows how she wants to act. And it may have been all those life experiences that shut her down a little bit. But now's your chance, because there are 8 billion people in the world. 8 billion people to reach through social media and through this podcast. And all you need to reach is that one person. That one person that aligns with you and says, wow, yes, you're awesome. I love you the way you are. That's where you start building community, because they'll know their friends and they have their people. And we know the greater the community we build and the more it feels limitless, the more we feel that sense of belonging, and the more we can feel authentically ourselves and be free to live ourselves, surrounded by people who are here for that one person, for that little girl, who are here to embrace your true self. So I can't wait. I can't wait to see you all doing this. I can't wait to have that freedom to meet up with you all in this community that we continue to build together, being our authentic selves. So talking about building community, each of our guests shares their contact information with us. And that contact information can be found in our show notes, which is in the description of every episode. And also it's in the articles on our website at thelinks.com. That's LNXX. So if you click through from the show notes or just peruse the website, you'll find the article about our special guests and a synopsis of what their episode was about. So you can find their contact information there and reach out to them just to continue to build the community, reach out to them to create friendships and relationship, or for the services they offer, because there's so many founders and there's so many career women. It's a really amazing community. Now, next week, we have a powerful episode with our special guest, Mari Marques. Mari to her friends, of which I am very grateful and very blessed to be one. Mari shares her experience of coming here to the U.S. as a little girl, alone, only in companionship with her cousin, who were both sent from Cuba, their homeland, to the U.S. through the Peter Pan program. Now, if you haven't heard about the Peter Pan program, I really encourage you to do some Google searching this next week and learn about this campaign that the U.S. established to entice Cuban parents to send their children here for their safety and well-being, rather than live the life of communism that was entering Cuba at the time. I tell you, I didn't know anything about this until she shared her story with me. I was blown away. Talk about profound resilience and courage and having so much strength to keep her Cuban identity and thrive in her culture here in the U.S. while exceptionally excelling both academically and in her career. She's amazing. I love her. And the extra special part is she's currently manager with Bobi Céspedes. And again, if you do need to do a little Google search, you will get hooked on Bobi's music. It speaks to the soul. It will get you moving. It will make you feel like you belong. Oh, yeah. We're going to have her music as our intro and outro next week. Okay, so I gave you a lot of homework to do, and you're going to be so ready for next week. I can't wait to have you back here, and we're going to keep building this community and reaching out and finding each other, because we can be our authentic self when we're all together. So step into your truth, ladies. Ciao. Really appreciate the time you take to rate and review the podcast. Get the backstory and what you've heard here today and reach out to us at thelinks.com. That's LNXX. Because it's about time, it's about us. Stay in the groove on our social media at Lifelinks and get ready to make your move, ladies. Viva!